If you've ever felt like you're in a holding pattern, just waiting on something to happen or something to change, this is for you. Perhaps you're waiting on external circumstances to be different. Maybe you're waiting on internal motivation, or you could be waiting on direction, an open door, or resources that you need. I want to share with you 5 things that you can do when you don't know what to do. In other words, 5 things to do in the waiting. Now, let me just share with you my own default, because I've been in a period these last 2 years of waiting. Some would say wilderness. Some would say wandering. Some would say the prequel or the thing that happens before the thing that's going to happen. And my default in that period of time, my default over these 2 years I've learned about myself is to hustle, is to do, is to work, is to achieve, is to make it happen. Maybe if I felt some sense of insecurity, if there's unknown, if there's something negative that happens against me, I know the mental gymnastics to do. I know I have the mental fortitude and the strength to put that in its place, to deal with that emotionally, mentally, and put it to the side and then keep moving forward. But my weakness, that's a positive, but my weakness is that I try to hustle, go too far, too fast before things are clear. And so I might be climbing a ladder that's up against the wrong building. Or even if it's the right building, I might work myself into a worried frenzy under the surface because I'm trying to make things happen. And I've been forced in this season, as many of us have been forced in this season, to just stop in some ways, to have to stay home, to have to stop doing certain things, to have to slow down, to listen, to be still, to understand that there's a bigger story that's being told. And there are seasons for different reasons, that you might be in a season of waiting on purpose. And there's something for you to learn, perhaps something for you to unlearn before the next thing that happens. I've learned that we're never just waiting, we're becoming. So if you find yourself in a stalled out position, if you're waiting, take heart. Just because you can't see activity, that doesn't mean there isn't action happening under the surface. You are becoming more of who you were designed to be. And there is a designer that is helping you on this journey, preparing you for what you don't even know is in store, giving you the strength, giving you the focus, giving you the new way that you need to enter into the season in front of you, all while you are waiting. And there's one thing that's become very clear, and I hope that you can agree to this too. Fear and worry are the enemy. They are not going to help you. Choosing peace now will lead to the kind of progress that you want. It's not the other way around. The progress is not going to give you peace. Finding peace now is going to point you in the direction of the progress and give you the purpose and the passion to get there. So there's an important story, an ancient story that's been talked about at dinner tables and at bedsides for thousands of years. Movies have been made about the journey of the Exodus. If you want more context, you can look at the Old Testament part of the Bible. There's a book called Exodus. It's an amazing story and journey. It's all right there. I'm going to give you some high points. All 5 of these lessons about what to do when you don't know what to do are in this story that I'm going to pull out for us. The story involves Moses leading people out of slavery in Egypt. It's the Jewish nation, the Hebrew nation. They've been in slavery. They've been enslaved to Pharaoh and his government, his oppressors, for 400 years. That's a lot of different pharaohs. That's a lot of time in servitude, and that is a lot of oppression. And so they've been crying out to God, and finally the plan is orchestrated. Moses is the one. He comes, let my people go, and out they march after a series of miracles. It's pretty dramatic if you want to go further. Once they are out into the wilderness, it's another 40 years of wandering before they reach the promised land. the land that's been whispered about, the land their forefathers have told them about, their parents have talked to them about at bedtime in the stories of what's to come, when we'll be free and we'll have our own space. 400 years of being enslaved, 40 years of waiting, wandering, working their way there. Why did they have to wait? There's probably a lot of reasons. Learning to trust God, unlearning Egyptian living, coming together as a community, raising up a younger generation to lead because they were slow learners. But here are the 5 things that we can take from the story and we can apply now in the 21st century, things that we can do while we're waiting. Number 1, thing 1, get lean. Get lean. When 1 million people are uprooting themselves from Egypt and going by foot to their promised land destination, they don't take much stuff. They just take the most important things, the most valuable things. And you know what? When they're wandering around for years, and a few days turns into a few weeks, and a few weeks turns into a few months and then years, you start to reevaluate the things that you thought were valuable. And you probably start to shed some of those things too. And you know what I mean. We have seen in this last season, we have seen in recent history that all the things that we thought we needed, we don't really need. That there has been a lot of excess. That maybe the restrictions, we want some of our liberties and freedoms back, but we don't need them all. We don't need to operate with the kind of frivolousness and excess that we once did. We're reevaluating what really matters and what we're going to take with us on this new journey through. So get lean, embrace the fact that you don't need as much as you thought you do, or that you thought you did. And it will be so much easier to go forward, more free, more flexible, more nimble, able to adjust and adapt to what's coming if you're not weighted down by so much extra crap. So what does it look like to get a little bit more lean, to shed a little bit more of the extra, to pare it down, to make yourself nimble and agile for whatever might come? Thing 1, get lean. Thing 2, stop complaining. Stop complaining. Just days, not even weeks, just days after the Israelite people had been kind of ushered on their way. They had maybe 3 days without food, and the wheels were coming off. I mean, people were panicking, freaking out. They didn't know what to do. They start saying out loud the words, "We should go back to Egypt, where we were slaves, because at least we had meat to eat." And you can imagine Moses, who's leading him, like, "Oh, really? Is this what it's going to be like? God, are you serious?" And God is just like, "Oh my gosh. You didn't see the 10 miraculous plague miracle things that you didn't see kind of the sea part. You didn't see the sea wash up and kind of swallow the Egyptian soul. You didn't see all of that. That just happened. And now here you are already complaining because you're hungry. We get it. You're hungry. I'm not going to let you die out here." But here they're moaning and, "Oh, why would he bring us out here to die?" And when you read it and when you see it portrayed in movies, it sounds ridiculous. But you know what? Your complaining sounds ridiculous too. My complaining sounds ridiculous too. I don't even know how often, how frequently I complain and how obnoxious it sounds. I have the benefit of a wife who will tell me the truth, and I have other friends in my life that I've asked to just say, "Hey, let me know when I'm complaining," because it's ridiculous. We are so blessed. And when I complain, it's almost like saying that I don't see all the blessings and that I don't believe more blessings are coming. So stop the complaining and ask someone in your life who's close to you, who's around you a lot, who you talk to frequently, to let you know when you're complaining, because you don't even realize how much you're doing it. So stop with the complaining. It's poisoning your heart, poisoning your attitude, and distorting your outlook on what's going on. Focus on the gratitude, things that we can be grateful for. That is thing 2, stop complaining. Thing 3, trust the daily provision. Trust the daily provision. God told Moses, "Hey, I'm gonna drop food. I'm gonna drop food from the sky. And when you wake up in the morning, there's gonna be food in the ground called manna. And you can just eat all that you want, all that you need for that day. But tell the people, don't get any more than what they need for the day. And so it's an unbelievable thing, right? That you don't even have to work for it. You just go outside your tent and there's food on the ground. You just pick it up and, oh, it's actually pretty good. And so they don't believe at first, they don't believe that God is going to continue to provide, even though there's food falling from the heavens, literally. They're like, yeah, I don't know. Honey, come here, put this in your purse, put this in your purse. And they're just like still stockpiling, ignoring the instruction, pack it up, where can I fit it, putting it in their tent. And then the next day when they wake up, all that food that they had stockpiled, rotten, disgusting, maggots, gross, unedible. And Moses was like, hey, I told you, God's going to provide food every day. Just take what you need for the day. Eat what he gives you. Eat what God provides. And don't stockpile it away. Teaching his people, like maybe he's interested in teaching us. Trust me for what you need today. I'll provide. You may lean out a little bit. It may not be all that you wanted. It may seem a little bit, routine. You may get tired of it at times and wish you had something different, but this is what's going to happen. It's going to be there every day. It's going to be sufficient. It's going to take care of you. It's going to be what you need. Trust the daily. Now, you might find yourself in a position where food isn't an issue. All your bases are covered, and that's not what's stressing you out. But some people watching this, you know what it is to be a little bit concerned about where food's going to come from. Trust God for today. Don't worry about the future. Don't worry about tomorrow. Let it worry about itself. Trust God for today. And even if those daily basic needs are not as much of a concern to you because of your savings, because of whatever else, because of your ability to still earn a living right now, there's something that God is going to bring to the forefront that's going to require you to trust daily. It may be addiction. It may be health issues for you or someone that you love. It may be crippling anxiety. It may be the weight of leadership and needing to provide and care for and make decisions that have a ripple effect on so many people. There will be something that God is saying, trust. Look to me every single day. If it's relational pain or drama, look to me today. Trust me today. Don't worry about tomorrow. There's enough for tomorrow. We'll figure that out later. Trust me today. When you're in the waiting period, when you're in the in-between, that it feels like a wilderness, one of the things that God is teaching you, teaching me, is to trust day to day, moment by moment, and not worry about then or later or what if. Thing 4, embrace the new way of being. Embrace the new way of being. So what happens? These people are led out. Moses takes them to a mountain. God leads them there. And there's this scene that happens on this famous Mount Sinai where God comes down in a cloud with thunder and gives them the 10 Commandments on 2 tablets. And Moses brings them down as this awe-inspiring, earth-quaking thing that happens. Now, when you're teaching people a whole new way of being, because they've been entrenched in a certain lifestyle, a certain way, a certain worldview, perspective, mode of operation for 400 years, to get them to really pay attention and to see that this is a new day, you use some theatrics. You know what I mean? You use some drama to sear this on their souls and say, this is a big deal. Pay attention. Woo! And then the tablets come and these are our 10 things. Because at that moment, they couldn't handle many more, right? This is a whole new way of being. Everything is unknown and uncertain. We don't really have the ability to carry much more than 2 tablets. And so these are the 10 new new basics for humanity. These are the 10 things we want you to keep at the forefront and at least do these things. As you look back on them now, the 10 commandments, you can look them up in Exodus. They're the very basics. They're simple. They're the ways that we should treat each other. Later, Jesus would say that he's going to simplify it even more because we can handle it, or we have more perspective today. He's going to simplify it even more and say, if you love God with all that you are and love other people as you love yourself, all the other commandments are covered. We keep simplifying it, you see. But for that time, this is a people who are coming out of an old way of living who needed new lenses, a new perspective on a new way to be human. That was the point of the 10 Commandments. That was the point of the dramatic scene. And that is the point of this wilderness too. There's a new mode of operation that's required of you and me. There's a new way to enter into the future that's coming. We can't keep going in the way that we've been going. We can't keep operating under the same assumptions and the same excess, the same entitlements. There's a new mode of operation that we're being invited into. And I think that in the wilderness time, that God will reveal that to you for you. One thing that's been revealed to me is a daily routine that I have started practicing, that I've been practicing for over a year now, called TASKS. It's an acronym, TASKS. So every single day, I start by being thankful, T, focusing on things that I'm thankful for. It helps me to stay away from complaining and be more focused on appreciation. The second thing, A, is affirmations. I focus on truths, things that are true, things I want to affirm about myself, about what God's doing, about what's coming, about goals that I have. These are the affirmations that keep me positive and moving forward. And then I surrender. That's the S, saying I surrender. So these are all the things that I am that I want. God, but you're the one who designed all of this. So if you want to steer me in a different direction, then I'm open to that. The K is to kill. I kill the things that are in contrast. I kill the fear. I kill the worry. I'll say those things out loud, that this does not have control over me, that I'm not going to be afraid of this thing. I'm going to trust God. I'm going to believe for what's better. I'm going to move in confidence and strength and courage and determination. And I kill those things that are in opposition to that. And the final thing is another S, and it's to serve. I remind myself that I'm here to serve. Tasks. It's my new mode of operation. It's how I engage every day. And it's framed how I think about personal development as a whole and how I help teach and instruct and coach other people. What's your new mode of operation? You don't have to have a fancy acronym, or you can borrow mine. You don't have to have a 10 commandments, but you should have something. You should have something that is new, a new way that you are going to approach finances, perhaps, a new way that you're going to approach other people, relationships, a new way that you're going to approach business, a new way that you're going to think about your neighbors, a new way that you're going to spend money, engage with your family, allocate your time, think about new dreams and endeavors or chasing things down, a new way to be you, a new way to focus, a new way to do whatever it is that is next. Embrace a new way of being. Maybe, in some ways, for some of us, it takes a global disaster. It takes something of significance to wake us up and get our attention that some things in our life, in our ways of operation, need to change. Know what that is for you. The fifth and the final thing, maybe, is going to help us to really listen and hear from God as God tells us what it is that He has for us, that ways that we are to change and to go about life a little bit differently in this season. The thing 5 is to follow the mysterious cloud. Follow the mysterious cloud. It's so cool that in the story, the Hebrew journey in the wilderness toward the promised land, God uses a cloud in the sky by day to lead the people, and a fire in the sky by night so that they can travel by day or by night. Think about a cloud that's up ahead, just far enough out of reach so they're not grabbing for it, reaching for it, but it's always in front, leading them, and they just keep going where it goes. We're talking about probably 1 million people that are following this cloud. So people are all around it, not in a single file line. They're herding, they're mobbing through. And if you're over here, the cloud looks a little bit different, wouldn't it? Looks a little bit different, the cloud. Some people look at it and say, oh, it looks like a rhinoceros today. But the same person with a different perspective over here sees it as an apple or an arrow or something like that. That's what clouds do. They morph and they look a little bit differently. The cloud will look a little bit differently to you in different seasons and on different days. And it'll look differently maybe to your spouse, to your girlfriend, boyfriend, friend. Maybe a little bit differently to people who have a different background or on the other side of the herd. They're going to see that cloud differently, but are you looking at it today? It's mysterious. It's just floating up there. It's hard to understand. Years later, Jesus would say that God's presence started, and very ambiguous. Then it became this mysterious cloud. Then it was considered to be in a temple. And then Jesus would say he was the temple. Jesus was like, I'm the temple. And then Jesus went back into heaven. He said, now you're the temple. The spirit of this mysterious God is with you and is in you. That when you're looking, you don't have to look too far. That the invisible spirit of God is all around and in you. Listen for that whisper. Look for that activity, like the wind. You can't see the wind, but you can see what the wind is doing. You can see where the wind is blowing. God is with you. The mysterious spirit of the living God still showing you the way. And if you're waiting, it's for a reason. You're never just waiting. You are becoming. So learn to walk with God and listen to God your way. Some people, that happens literally on walks. Some people have to be in nature. Others talk to God and pray in the shower. Many of us experience God when we're reading these ancient scriptures, Old Testament, New Testament. Others of us need to be moving our bodies and running and exercising and working out. Certainly when we're talking with older and wiser people with a different perspective, God shows up in this mysterious way and leads us and guides us in a lot of different ways, in a lot of different looks, different ways at different times. But the mysterious cloud is still guiding, still leading, still inviting us to trust day by day, take the next step. You are not just waiting, you're becoming. Don't waste this wilderness. Get lean, stop complaining, trust the daily provision, embrace a new way of being, follow the mysterious cloud. Then you'll discover that it's not a promised land you're walking to. It's a promised life. And you're not that far away.